Well, hello, welcome to the Garden Gurus. I'm Trevor Cochran. We have got another fantastic program for you today. It's all about gardening. It's all about inspiration. There are so many things going on this time of the year. Here's what's coming up on today's show. We catch up with a very special garden guru. Sue McDougall joins us again. She's got a great new gig. It's an absolute gardener's dream. Nev gives us his secrets to lawn success. And of course, I'll take you into my garden again. I've got some autumn fruiting highlights. Over the years, we've had some fantastic presenters on the Garden Gurus, but right from the beginning, there has been one incredibly talented lady who has told so many amazing stories. But you will notice that Sue McDougall hasn't appeared on the Garden Gurus this series. There's a reason for it. She got a day job, a really good one, so I thought we'd go and catch up with her. Susie.
Trev.
Hello. How you going?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. What a job you've got.
Oh, no, I'm pretty lucky, aren't I? I'm so privileged. I can't believe I've managed to be director of the WA Botanic Garden.
And how beautiful is this garden? It's one of the best in the world, isn't it? Certainly in the top 2 or 3.
I think so. And it's unique because we've got so many West Australian species, and that's what we highlight. We have 3,000 plants here, rare and threatened flora, all laid out into the geographic areas. We've got the conservation garden. So the team does a fantastic job keeping display gardens going. So it was, I think, established in 1965. So it's been around for a long time. We've had some incredibly talented people who look after it.
Yep.
So I feel very privileged to be part of that team now.
You've been doing that your whole career, though, and it's a wonderful career, but you've got some favourites, I'm sure, things that you want to show us whilst we're here.
I certainly have. It's time we started planting, Trev. So all these kangaroo paws have gone into the ground. We're just at the planting season, so we have thousands of plants. So 700 kangaroo paws are planted at the moment. That's just today.
Wow.
And we'll be able to see those. They'll come into flower coming through. And it really, now that it's started to rain across the country, now that it is planting season. So I've got some favourite areas. I want to take you around and show you what we're doing, definitely.
A lot of people would think of botanic gardens as just places of pretty plants, but there's so much research that goes on, and this is a good example.
It certainly is. So you'll notice many of our trees are slightly yellow, so we're what we call chlorotic decline syndrome. And we've developed a process of acid dosing the soil to bring the trees back.
So acid dose, this means you're actually injecting acid into the soil or into the water. It's probably a combination of 2 things.
So to test the hypothesis, to start with, that was actually into the soil, Trevor. So what we do if we've got a particularly bad tree, we will dose acid right around, inject it into the soil, and then that puts the plant into shock, but then it comes back beautifully. But now it will go into the water. So we'll treat our water because it's very alkaline here. And then in the managed landscape, of course, everything's going to get a dose of slightly acidic water, which then means that we can manage the turf better, we can manage those plants, and we're really looking forward to some of those species that grow naturally in acidic soils, and it's a real challenge. We've got plants from all across the state in 18 hectares.
Now, Sue, talk about superstar plants that have come out of Kings Park. This one is one we've covered just recently, and it is truly a superstar. Blue kangaroo paw.
This is the first lot that we've managed to put in the ground. They are in high demand, Trevor, and performing beautifully. Just started to come through to flower. So by spring, it's going to be like this. It is a superstar plant, and I feel very privileged to be part of it. I came in at the end and got all the...
Took all the glory.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's only the beginning. Now, I know that with the kangaroo paws, but there's a lot of other plant species you're doing breeding work with as well.
Well, it certainly is, and we've got a new breeding program just started. Let me show you.
All right. So, Sue, you've taken us into the nursery. What's going on here?
Here is our new breeding program, and we are focusing on eremophilas. So we want to build a range of plants that have got landscape resistance. They are resilient to climate change. They will perform brilliantly in people's backyards, front yards, and also on a broader landscape scale.
And probably from the point of view of breeding and trying to get diversity, there's few plants as diverse as these. Look at the colours and the variation in foliage.
And some of them grow in heavy soil, some do really well in sand. They are just incredible all over Australia. These plants grow so well. This is the next challenge.
So this is the beginning of the process. How long before we start to see what are we talking, 10
Probably,
years?
yeah, probably 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And it is that far out. And so this is why we have to work on the future. And our climate is changing. We need that landscape resilience. We need those plants that are going to perform in hot, dry climates.
Now I know why you left us. You're so excited. Look at this. It's so good, Sue.
I'm so lucky to be part of it. That's exactly why I just absolutely love it. The passion for the people have is just amazing.
And of course, all those passionate people, they're led by one who is so passionate. It's been so good. Thanks for showing us around.
Our pleasure.
To celebrate 20 years of the Garden Gurus, we're looking back on some of our favourite moments.
It doesn't always have to be about being in the garden. It can actually taking the garden into the kitchen, which I love to do. Now, the first time I made a bean salad, it went over pretty well with the crew. So from there on in, every time we bought this salad out, it became the famous bean salad. And it consisted basically of lots of chunky veggies, you know, chopped up capsicum, celery, tomatoes, etc., with a lovely selection of mixed beans, a bit of onion for a bit of bite, and away it went. And it was always a success, and I'm still making it to this day. I haven't actually found anyone yet that doesn't love it.
So my gardening advice is starting to work. You're growing successfully, but what do you do with the excess produce? Well, you could share it with family, friends or neighbours, but sometimes there's still plenty left over. When it comes to extra produce, snap freezing veggies keeps the goodness in them, and drying fruit makes a lot of sense. But pickling is a big trend, and it's so easy to do. Now, I've been having a cracker of a season growing cucumbers and beets, and we've had them in just about every different way you can have them, except for one. I've got this amazing recipe for pickling them. Now, what I've done is I've brought them inside, given them a wash, and finally sliced them. So they're nice and clean, prepared, ready to go. You'll need sugar, salt, and white vinegar. Add a cup of water and a 1/4 cup of white vinegar into the bowl. You can use apple cider vinegar or even rice wine vinegar too, if you like. Add 2 tablespoons of salt and 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. Alternatively, you can leave the sugar out if you prefer a briny flavour. Then mix until the salt and sugar is thoroughly dissolved. Pop your sliced veg into sterilised jars, adding layers of peppercorns and dill, or if you like, chillies go well with this too. Load the jar to the top, but don't pack it in. They can be loose, and it makes getting them out easier later on. Simply fill to the top of the jar with your pickle solution, and this will flavour and preserve the vegetables. And they should be refrigerated straight after. Now, there are many reasons why you would want to pickle. One is, of course, making the most of your crop. But 2 is that pickled vegetables are incredibly good for us as well. In fact, this is what they look like after a couple of days. And these pickles have got a really lovely, tangy flavour to them. So pickling at home is a very, very good idea.
Everyone knows about David Austin roses, but not many people know about this Australian rose breeder, Alistair Clark. I'm here with Steve from Green E Roses, one of my favourite rose growers in Sydney. We're at Collectors Plant Fair, right bang in the middle of his stall, which is filled with beautiful grown roses. Thank you for having us, Steve.
You're more than welcome.
It's beautiful. I was wondering today if we could have a little chat about Alistair Clark roses and exactly who he was.
Sure. One of my favourite rose breeders, Alistair Clark, was an early Australian prolific rose breeder. His first roses were released probably back in 1912, up until his death in 1949. He was famous for producing not just roses for the cut flower bench, but roses for the actual garden. They were designed for disease resistance. They were designed for something hardy, repeat flowering, for fragrance, everything you could possibly want in a rose.
So I've got a patio. Did he breed any roses specifically for pots and patios?
We've got something perfect for you. There's one called Sunlit. It's a formless rose and it repeat flowers. It would be perfect for a pot situation.
And fragrant?
Fragrant is high.
Gorgeous. Thank you. I'll take it. He bred Black Boy in 1919, which is a fabulous hybrid tea climber. Lorraine Lee was bred in 1924, and it's a hybrid gigantea. It's the most popular rose ever grown in Australia. Roses in pots on balconies need extra special attention, the best possible potting mix you can afford. The reason why I like sunlit rows is because they love other things growing underneath them, so you can underplant them with beautiful flowering salvias. I'm potting up this patio rose. I'm using Scott's Osmocote, rose, gardenia and azalea premium potting mix, which provides the ideal acidic pH level for sensitive plant types to flourish. The premium potting mix contains boosted levels of iron and magnesium to produce deep green lush leaves and eliminates yellowing and the premature drop of flower buds, along with growth stimulants to encourage strong root development for healthy, vigorous plants. Lastly, we need to give it a good feed, and Scott's Osmocote, slow-release fertiliser for roses, is perfect. It's been specifically formulated with the correct NPK for foliage and root growth and flower formation, along with boosted iron for beautiful blooms, greener foliage and trace elements, with micronutrients that are vital for plant growth. Just gorgeous.
So the keys to gardening success really is probably threefold. It's definitely a great environment, which we all have here in Australia. We've got such a beautiful environment to grow plants in. But the two most essential things, water and good soil. Put the three together, you'll grow a beautiful garden.
As the autumn displays slowly finish and the leaves fall, there is another plant that is starting to wake for the winter that provides just as much colour, but from the forest floor. Hellebores, also known as the winter rose, are cold hardy perennials that do really well planted beneath taller trees or shrubs, and they're famously known for their nodding flowers that come in all sorts of colours, and over time they'll gradually naturalise an area looking fantastic. To have good success with these plants, you might have already guessed it. They are best grown in shaded areas where they have protection from hot, late afternoon sun. They will also enjoy a nice rich soil, so plenty of organic matter to grow in. Otherwise, growing them in containers is another good option. If you've been looking for a plant that will flower for months on end, especially in the winter months, you can't beat having a hellebore in your garden. And not only that, they're extremely cold hardy, require very little maintenance or feeding, and they'll repeat bloom every single year.
If there was one tree you really should be growing at home in your backyard or front yard, it's the avocado. They do so well in WA's unique growing environment. But there's so many questions you need to answer before you plant one out. Now, the first question you're going to ask me is, do I need to have a couple of trees? Well, the interesting thing about these is they have a flower that has both male and female sexual organs in it. But what's interesting about it is it has a process called protogynous dichogamy. Now, this means that the flowers open as female one day or sometimes in the morning, and then the next day, or maybe in that afternoon, they'll reopen again, but as male flowers. This means that the insects need to be active on the tree pretty much all through the day and ideally the next day. So if you've got a couple of trees, it's a lot better. It's hard to believe, but an avocado tree produces in excess of 1 million flowers when it starts flowering. So you'd think there'd be loads of fruit, but fruit can be affected by the weather, particularly cold or heat extremes, and they have an ideal temperature range whilst flowering. Trees also seem to naturally have a biennial cropping habit of large crops every second year. These are my guides to, well, the best medium-sized trees as far as fruit producers go. Now, there is, of course, shepherd, which is absolutely sensational, very easy to grow in our environment, and Hass, which without doubt is probably the most popular fruit variety you can get. But one you may not know about is called Furete. It's an alligator pear type, and it's incredibly good. But what do you do if you've only got a small area, not enough room to plant a tree in the ground? Let's say you've got a patio area. Well, there are some varieties that'll suit you. The semi-dwarf varieties, Wurtz and Gwen, are the answer. To get the best results, get a half wine barrel. Fill it with the best quality potting mix you can buy. Water it in thoroughly and feed with controlled release plant food every 3 months. Avos are easy to grow. A tree to buy is not expensive, and if you want to know where to shop to get one, well, check out a specialist fruit tree nursery.
What I see for the next generation of gardeners, or what I hope for, is that they continue to inspire people to come into the industry, because it's an amazing industry, and to also encourage that movement to being a little bit more conscious with recycling as well.
5 years ago, the joy of owning this beautiful expanse of grass was marred by the fact that it was infested with a terrible weed called wanihanga or jojo, that prickly, terrible weed that meant that you couldn't walk barefoot on the grass. I decided to mow the lawn every week with the idea that such regularity would cut off the flowers before they could mature into the prickly fruiting stage. This strategy worked, and by the second summer, no prickles at all. In a bizarre twist, the lawn just kept on getting greener, so I didn't apply any fertiliser. This lawn hasn't had a speck of fertiliser in 5 years, yet it's beautiful and green, and if it gets damaged, it recovers at lightning speed. If you were to sink a shovel into the grass, you'd come up with a square of black earth, loaded with earthworms. The lawn food is coming from the lawn clippings. The mower has mulching blades that pulverise the clippings into fine threads, which are then forced back into the grass. Here they compost down and feed the soil. This mulching function isn't just for ride-on mowers, because you can get mulching blades even for push mowers. And if you don't want to go to that extent, you can actually try it out at home with a conventional mower. Just take the catcher off and go over each section 3 times. While this was a completely accidental discovery on my part, the thing I like about it is, A, the dollar saving in buying fertilisers, B, the fact that there's not going to be any nutrient runoff from this property. But probably the best news of all is that my grandkids can play around on the grass and I don't get any complaints. So I call that a win, win, win.
Let me share a secret with you. The autumn is by far the best time of the year in my garden. In fact, I love it. I prefer it of all the seasons. Sure, spring is fantastic because spring is about flowers. I'm not saying autumn doesn't have a flower. Look at the beautiful dahlias that are coming through and really do stand out this time of the year. The thing is, for me, autumn's special because it is the time for fruit arriving in the garden. And I've got so many different fruits coming into harvest now, I thought I'd share a few with you. And it's mostly the exotic varieties that I get really excited about this time of the year, things like quince. Now, these quince are going to be turned into the most amazing quince paste. These trees are wonderful to grow in home gardens. In fact, they'll grow just about anywhere in Australia. And the terrific thing about them is they love hot, dry conditions. So you want to grow them alongside things like figs, because they'll love the same conditions as well. Another fruit that I just love, and you will have seen them over the past few years on the show because I can't help but show them off, are dragon fruit. Now this is a baby, but I have a bigger plant further up the garden and a few more cuttings going now as well. The flowers are enormous and they open at night and they're pollinated by moths in the tropics where they originate from, but in my garden they're pollinated by ants. It's been the oddest year ever. You can see these flowers have just set fruit. There's more flowers coming, but that's actually the second flush. You see, we had a flush earlier on, so I've already been picking fruit, which is quite remarkable. It really has been an unusual year. Now, when you talk about dragon fruit colour, there's about 3 or 4 different colours. There is a yellow, but of the main type of dragon fruit, you'll get a beautiful either red, purple. In this case, take a look at the inside of that. Is that not just absolutely incredible? Or the one that most people are used to, because you'll find this in a lot of restaurants in Southeast Asia in particular, is the white. And there we go. Absolutely amazing fruit and incredibly delicious. One tree everybody should grow at home in their garden is the avocado. And when your trees get this big, you'll get decent crops, but you don't need to be climbing them or getting onto ladders to be able to pick fruit. You want to have a tool like this. It's the Wolf Garden fruit picker. Now the basket is placed under the fruit and you simply push up And there's a small blade that cuts it cleanly away from the tree. Seriously, don't climb ladders. They are the biggest single cause of accidents in the garden. Get one of these. And speaking of Central and South American fruit, this one here is a ripper. Now, it's called the tamarillo or tree tomato. What makes it really unusual is this is a fruit that is savoury, not sweet. So it makes it ideal when you're having cheeses and biscuits and maybe some wine to have this fresh. It really is tangy and absolutely delicious. The best news is this will grow anywhere in Australia and it has very few pests, so you should give it a go. Growing your own herbs and veg is something we should all do, but not everybody's got the room. Growing many of the kitchen staples at the back door closest to where you're going to use them is a goal that we should all aspire to. This is a great example of how you can do it. It's a living wall, and it's home to everything from dill and chives to my favourite spicy Luxor herb. And it takes no room at all when you're growing up the wall. Well, that's all we've got for you this week on the show. I love these dahlias. They really are good, and it's a time of the year to enjoy them, not to plant them. The good news is you can get all the information that you need from our website. All you have to do is head to thegardengurus.tv, or if you've got a question you want to ask about your garden, maybe how to get the best results out of them, then join us on a Monday morning when we do the Garden Gurus Live. I'm Trevor Cochran. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week for another great episode of The Garden Gurus.